Welcome. We're so happy to see you again. Welcome to Sarasota University Colloquium. If you would please in the chat, just type in where you are joining us from. Where in the world are you as we come together for this exciting presentation?
Know who that is.
And as we prepare for our presenter tonight, I would just like to introduce our Sarasota Director of Admissions, Ellen Lastinger, is here with us this evening.
Hi there.
Ellen, would you like to say a few words about any upcoming admissions deadlines?
Well, yes, we actually are enrolling for Spring 1, which begins January 7th, and we're enrolling for all of our programs for the master's program, both programs, and for the bachelor's completion program. And basically, to get it started is super easy. Before we finish tonight, I'll just put a link in the chat that is the application, which is a teeny tiny thing. That's your easiest part. So anyway, and we will connect once we have your application and get you started.
Thank you so much, Ellen. And if I haven't already met you, I'm Dr. Lindsay Pollock. I am the provost at Sarasota. And we have so many exciting things happening at Sarasota University. We have our dual enrollment options available through the Center for Guided Montessori Studies and Modern Montessori TEP TEC, Teacher Education College out in California. So we've got dual enrollment options on both coasts and across the country at this time. Center for Guided Montessori Studies does admit students from all over the United States. And we also are launching our doctoral program next summer. So super excited about that. And so I encourage you to be watching for news as we get closer to launching that program. I also am super excited to announce that we have a dual enrollment option through Brush Development. And you may know Brush Development through the work they're doing with Montessori and dementia care. So please go to our website, sarasotauniversity.edu, and you can learn more about Brush Development and our dual enrollment program with that organization, especially if you're interested in looking at Montessori as applied to work with our elders. I'm watching all of the messages in the chat. I'm so excited to see folks from all over the country here tonight. Thank you again for tuning in. And I'm delighted to say that we have a very special guest for you this evening. It's my honor to introduce someone who I have great admiration for his work, John Tovar, who I met through a local Phi Delta Kappa meeting here in Houston. And John is a world traveler, so we are
Lindsay, are we recording? Lindsay,
yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Sorry, I don't see it, and I didn't want you to have to introduce again. Sorry.
No, thank you so much, Ellen. I can see it says recording in the top right-hand corner, so I appreciate you checking because that is important.
Thank you.
And John is a world traveler and such a wise person. We're so fortunate to have gotten onto his calendar while he's stationary for just a brief amount of time. John is a passionate advocate for global education and the founder of am I saying this correctly, John? CEADA? C-E-A-D-A?
CEADA.
CEADA. Thank you. An organization that's dedicated to advancing educational equity and academic mobility for marginalized communities. He is an experienced program manager and scholar. And his work emphasizes connecting underserved communities with transformative educational opportunities worldwide. And John and I were just talking about Montessori being one of those transformative educational opportunities, in my opinion. And I'm so excited to have John sharing his wisdom here this evening, and to hear about his projects that highlight the power of cross-cultural collaboration to foster resilience and sustainable learning ecosystems all around the world. So John, thank you for being here tonight, and I'm so looking forward to hearing your message. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lindsay. Thank you so much. The honor is mine. It's really a pleasure to be here. I know this is a space of excellence. Seeing the colloquiums, the videos, and thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure. So having said that, I'd like to start sharing my presentation. I just put together a little presentation for you to have a better understanding of what I do and what CEADA does and what we work for. So let me see if I can do this. No. Can you see screen? Can you see the screen?
Yes, John, we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. And the sound the sound is good as well.
You're breaking up a tiny bit. You might want to turn your camera. Well, we don't want to. We want to see you, but you might try turning your camera off so we can. If you're having low bandwidth.
Okay.
I don't think that'll impact your
Perfect.
presentation. Yeah.
Perfect. 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 So, okay, let's start. The title of presentation. So before delving into a little, delving a little more into the issue, into the matters, I like to this one quote that I really like, which is powerful. That was Nelson Mandela. He said, "La educación es el arma más poderosa que puedes usar para cambiar el mundo." That means education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. And then, having said that, I'll say that education is not just a tool. I mean, we can use education to, sort other things, but it's just a tool, just for us to use. But it's also a bridge to equity, empowerment, and cultural understanding. When I say cultural understanding, I'm talking about the understanding between the peoples of the world, the different cultures, and what it means to have understanding. So a little bit about me. Even though you already present this a little presentation, but it's always good to say some of the things that I do, because the positionality, the positions of where I come from, is very important to understand the work I do. So yes, I'm the founder of CEADA, but I also serve as a director of programs, Global Black. Global Black, it is a leading society organization that we do with advocacy. We amplify issues. We do, through different programmatic areas that have to do with climate justice, have to do with reparation, have to do with environmental justice, it have to do with the global economic architecture, but that's something else. So I'm in that space as well. I'm in the other space, I'm at that space, the global black space as well. So yes, indeed, I'm involved with advocacy, awareness raising, policy development on critical issues, especially that affect the marginalized community, in particular Afro-descendant communities, not only in the continent, but also in the diaspora. So I've been through a lot of stuff, a lot of interdisciplinary spaces, intercultural experiences, and I have academic and work experience in 4 continents and in several languages. And I will explain why I'm mentioning all these little things. So my expertise include ecology, conservation biology, environmental sciences, and that is complemented by a passion for teaching. I love education. I love teaching and learning. I think I'm a lifelong learner. And then I have a specialized knowledge in the African diaspora studies. It's something that really I'm passionate about. So I have degrees in biology. That was in Colombia. I have degrees in environmental sciences. That was a master's degree in the Netherlands. I have another degree in soil management in Germany, and I have another degree in technology, petroleum engineering technology in Houston. I have never used that. And I'm almost completing, I'm going doctoral studies at the University of Houston. I'm almost done. So that's me. So I'm mentioning all this because everything that I just said here is been through opportunities in education. I went to, I was from a small town, like really, really buried in the jungle, in the tropical rainforest, in the Pacific, in the lowlands of the Pacific coast of Colombia. And I had the opportunity to access a scholarship, and that changed my entire universe. Not only me, but the whole community. And this is what I'm doing now. So I got a scholarship. I went to the Netherlands. When I went to the Netherlands, I studied with literally people from all over the world. And that little opportunity there, it changed the whole perspective, the whole thing. And I think it made me the person I am today. That was the beginning of the whole journey. So when I went there, I was exposed to so many cultures, so many people. I traveled around. I did my thesis. I worked my thesis in West Africa, in Cameroon. I learned French over there. I learned Dutch in the Netherlands. My English got much better. Portuguese, you name it. So I'm saying this, how education really, really, really can not only move or make person have like huge social mobility, but also can be a bridge for cultural exchange. So now myself, I consider like a human bridge, and this is what I'm doing because I went through it and I see the importance and I see how it catalyzes development, how it changes not only personal life, but the whole community, because that's what I do. So what inspires CEADA? So this is a really, really, really crazy, but really inspiring story. So that was June 2021. We were in the middle of the pandemic. So I started, meeting and connecting with some of the friends to discuss some issues and exchange information, exchange ideas, insights, perspectives about different topics that were of our interest. And that started growing and growing and growing and growing. So we started programming on Sundays. And then before we knew, we have such a huge following. And then we decided to call CEADA. Actually, the name of CEADA comes from a Spanish acronym that means Ciclo de Conferencia de Estudios Africanos y de la Diáspora Africana. That actually, in a good translation, I will say lecture of African Afro-Diasporic Studies lecture cycle. That will be the name of it in a good English. So we started, discussing, and they started inviting people to come to the programming. And before we knew, we were having like top-notch scholars and politicians and grassroots organizers and students and just people that wanted to have this information. Also, I noticed that a lot of the information, a lot of the literature, it was in English. So the people like in Latin America or the Caribbean, some of these places, they didn't have access to this information. So I started bringing people from different places and getting interpreters, so people will have access to that information, and it started growing. And then I noticed that, wow, like with the advent of the internet, like language barriers and geographical distances literally evaporated. And I saw a huge opportunity there. I was like, what did just happen? And then people just have like this thirst to come to the programming, and every Sunday was growing and growing and growing. Cameroon, from Senegal, from Spain, from the US, from Canada, from Colombia, from Costa Rica, from Venezuela, from Argentina, from Panama. I even remember some, and some, I don't know what happened, but just the word started spreading. So that's what happened. But then the word was becoming bigger. So CEADA kind of morphed a little bit. So this was the previous logo that we have. That means like the lecture cycle. But then CEADA now is a center of advancement for Africa and the African diaspora. So the scope of work is much bigger now. But then it's when you think, so what is leadership? Is the moment that make a leader, or the leaders fix the moment? I don't know what happened to me, but here we are. So through this presentation, I want to highlight the critical gaps in global educational connection for African descendants communities. And one of the focus is the lack of equitable access to resources and opportunities for students of African descent or people of African descent. So CEADA basically, the philosophy behind CEADA is to create a platform that can transform, a platform for mutual understanding, a platform for knowledge sharing, that'll bridge all these gaps and these devices, just fostering global connection that empower underserved communities, and also at the same time celebrate the people's heritage, celebrate the culture. Through this presentation, we'll explore the opportunity that we have created for mobility, also our perspective on cultural responsive education for a sustainable development. So I hope you enjoy, you like what I have to share with you today. And that was the little introduction. All right, so what is CEADA? But before I go, what is CEADA? I want you to think about this. For the people that live in the US, like I know we have people connecting from other places, I think in Latin America, South America. So we are aware of what they call the so-called achievement gap, right? So I don't like to call it achievement gap. I personally like to use the opportunity gap, which is different perspective. But if you look into the numbers in the US, there's a huge gap. Like 56% of Hispanic Latino of students, they complete a college degree. Only 46% of African American are Black, and that's compared to 72% of white students. So there's a huge gap right there. That's in the US context. But in the US, there's a lot of opportunities, like you can go to high school, like the whole K-12 is pretty much for free, but there's a lot of opportunities to access higher education. And I want to mention here, for example, African American students, there are some historical universities, Black and college universities. So those are spaces that people can access to. Now, but if you look at the Caribbean, Latin America, and so other places, there's not such an initiative. The numbers, the disparity is way, way, way bigger. The gaps are way bigger. I was born in Colombia, I was born in Latin America, and I know it's way bigger than there. So if we compare the US to those places over there, the gap is it is really dramatic, to the fact that in the US, like everybody have access to K-12 education. In some of these places, some countries, they don't even have access to K-12 education. So we have a lot of kids that don't have access to schooling, period. And then when you look into intersectionality, you start looking at things like not only socioeconomic status, but you start looking at gender, race, disability status. So, all this intersection makes it even more dramatic for some people in some areas. Like, for instance, the place I was born, I'm not ashamed to say that when I went to school, I actually went to school without electricity. I have to study with candles. And having candles was a luxury. We usually have like oil lamps, like rudimentary oil lamps. But that's what happened to me. Then, you overcome those things, but that's not normal, and it shouldn't be the norm. So, CEADA. So we are dedicated to promote the growing empowerment of Brazilian communities. So we want to create a supporting, empowering environment for Afro-Descendant individuals and communities. And we have 4 areas of work, like you can see here on the right side of my slide. So we work on education. That's one of our areas of work. We work on cultural exchange. We must provide support services. We'll explain that a little more in a minute. And in another area of our work is networking. So education is self-explanatory. Education is a key to development. So just to enhance knowledge, skills, and opportunities. When you get the education, you might, do beautiful things. Cultural exchange, I think that's extremely important because, students, when they move around, when they go to places, they're just not a person. It's the whole cultural background behind it. And then for us, the cultural exchange is it's a source of wealth. It's a source of richness. It makes you a better person when you learn from other people and you understand and you want to share your culture and you open yourself to receive their culture too. At the end of the day, we notice that we are not really that different. Just some nuances that make the world a better place. Support services. We have identified in the U.S., especially since we are based in a border city. We're in the border here in Texas, so it's a lot of people going through. And we have noticed that there is a problem with access to basic services, like for instance, education, legal services, health, housing. So we're trying to kind of put together a little package that we can help some of these communities that are here. Like we see that they really need it. Nobody is actually pretty much helping them. And networking is key. Networking is everything. Networking not only with individuals, but also with institutions. This is just part of the networking. I met Dr. Lindsay Pollock through this space at PDK, and here I am presenting CEADA. That's the part of networking. Hopefully, we get to talk a little bit more about what you do at Sarasota. I'm curious about the new doctoral program, so I'm going to be asking you. So yes, building our international network is key. Is key because it is important to know where we are, what we're doing, how we live, and most importantly, sometimes there are some organizations that are doing great work, critical work, and you don't know. So I think there is power in numbers, and the power of networking and collaboration. It is so important to do those things. Like when you collaborate and you network, the work gets amplified, the work gets more visibility, and the snowball just get bigger. All right. So what's our mission? So we aim to empower Afro-descendant communities by offering educational programs, facilitating cultural exchanges, and providing comprehensive support services. That's pretty much our mission. So we do strive to create a world where Afro-descendant, but not only Afro-descendant, I would say because in Latin America and the Caribbean, we have native or local communities, a world where they can thrive and maintain their cultural heritage. That's extremely important for us, while participating fully in a global society. It is very important for us to have this global mindset. So think local, think global. And our vision, it is to build a global network of collaboration and mutual support and understanding that promotes sustainable development, cultural preservation, and a sense of belonging for Afro-descendant individuals and communities. That's CEADA in a nutshell. And then I want to say this real quick. So what we do, I already said our areas of work. I'm not going to stay there for too long. So education, cultural exchange, support services, and networking. But then why we matter? Why are all these things important? Afro-descendant communities, they often face unique challenges. Those challenges include social and economic disparities and cultural marginalization. Not only happens in the US, that you are very familiar with, it happens all across the hemisphere. And I know this because I work in these spaces and I travel a lot and I go to, and I connect with a lot of these organizations, with grassroots, especially civil society. They will tell you that the information that sometimes you don't get from sometimes from the government or sometimes from private institutions, but grassroots, they usually working in the ground and then you get that information from them. So I think that's why we matter, because We try to address these issues by creating platforms of education for cultural exchange, for mutual support. So that way we can try to ensure that the African people and marginalized communities can preserve their heritage and achieve their full potential. Just little things, sometimes the little action is what creates sometimes the biggest changes. So that's why we focus on education, because we know it is a powerful tool for change. It's a powerful catalyst for change. So what is the need for CEADA? So why we think we are in, it's critical what we're doing. We have noticed a lack of representation in academic mobility programs. There are a lot of barriers to access, inequity in resources, and cultural representation. When I'm saying this is not so easy for some communities or some communities to access to quality of education, because it costs. There's cost attached to it. That creates inequity in resources. So, you don't go to school, you don't move up, there's no social mobility, there's inequity, you will not get a good job, you will become, all the illness, all the societal illness. And then what happens when you don't access to education, when you don't move in the social ladder? So the stereotypes will thinking, oh, you're lazy, they don't like to work, they this, then that, all these stereotypes. So that's a cultural misrepresentation. And I think it is very important to fight those things, because stereotypes can create negative perceptions of a group of people. And we know what happens when that happens. So we try to address those disparities through our programs and through partnerships. So I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to give a quick overview of our programs. We have 4 main programs, and each of those programs is designed to address different aspects of development and support. So here we are. So let me tell you a bit about the programs. So we have the Global Academic Network. So through that network, we try different seeks to promote and facilitate the local international academic mobility of students. Also, if possible, professors and researchers. So what we're trying to do is strengthening the educational and professional capacity through exchanging programs. So with this initiative, we seek to contribute to the sustainable development of these communities in the continent and in the diaspora. So ideally, it should be transcontinental or transnational, but it can also be within in the countries where we have operations. And I'm going to give you an example later. So that's academic mobility. So we also have another program in multilingual Afro communities. So through this program, we're trying to build and strengthen multilingual capacities within the community. I think having access to other languages, it really helps for social, not only for social, but also academic mobility. And we know that students, they don't have access to especially because they don't speak English. It's a brilliant thing, multilingual or bilingual programs. But the focus right now is English, Spanish, which is also a huge language down there in Latin America and French. So in the Afro Diasporic Connection, that was the program that what I mentioned first. It's called Afro Diasporic Connection. This is where we have the African diaspora studies lectures. We still have the programming. We're a bit of pause because we're going through an overhaul because it's changing the whole thing. It's not that, but the scope is here now. But that's the Afro Diasporic Connection is the African and in African diaspora studies lecture series. We invite the experts and all this. And then our last programmatic area is rapid run services for migrant communities. Like I said, Houston or Texas is a border state. We have seen a lot of communities coming through. So with this program, we try to promote social, economic, and cultural inspiration of people in the U.S. So we're just providing access to essential services like health, education, legal support, quality food, mental health, and emotional support. In order to improve their quality of life, because people being like in that status, sometimes they like just in exile. How you say they sometimes like refugees. For example, like I've seen the refugees from Congo. We have a lot of people coming from Venezuela, Colombia, and they usually just say in Houston there's no lot of attention. So we see a lot of problems and a lot of opportunities there to help. It's just basically to improve the quality of life through an uncertainty of being a migrant in a new country and an uncertainty in a migrant status. So that's what we do. We are planning to have an event next year in the spring where we can convene, or we can call like a lot of actors in Houston. I will maybe I will provide information, but what we're trying to do is to do a feria, let's call it a feria, and then just bring people like vendors, like potential pro bono lawyers, the food bank, charter schools, to see if people have access to all these things, because they do not know. So we can just have this event to bring everybody together to promote that. So how do we build global networks? Key elements for us is inclusivity and participation, for sustainability, and cultural respect. It is extremely important to respect people's perspectives, people's cultures, points of view. So what are our strategies? It's simple. Partnering with diverse stakeholders like Sarasota University. And leveraging technology. So
John,
internet is extremely important. It's key. That's how we get connected. We have our program through internet.
John, are you able to hear me?
I have to
John,
move. Can you hear
John,
me?
it's getting really garbled. We've had a little bit of trouble
Yes, I can
kind
hear
of
you.
hearing, but it's getting it's getting more distorted.
So wait. Let me see. Maybe if okay, 1 second.
That's a little clearer.
1 second.
Okay.
Is it better now?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
okay, a story of success. So this one right here, I want to share this, and I'm so happy to share this story. So we have 3 exceptional students from the Pacific Coast of Colombia, the lowland. Like the Pacific Coast of Colombia is the most underdeveloped area in Colombia. So through a leadership, at CEADA and some of the partners, like with there's a foundation in Colombia, it's called NGO Despertar, and another foundation in Houston is called Cascajal. They work also with education. So I came to know this university. So I went there. They have 4 scholarships for Colombia. So I went and spoke to the president and said, like, hey, listen, I think you need to look into this. This Pacific Coast, they don't have access. Colombia is a very centralized country. If you don't live in Bogota or in the interior of the country, you don't get things. You don't have access to opportunities. So I said, like, listen, I'm from this area. For some reason, I got out of there, and I know there is a need. So I was able to convince her to take a look into it. So those 4 scholarships that they have annually, she said, okay, so we're gonna dedicate 3 of those to see what happens. So for the very first time, we have 3 students from the Pacific Coast. And I put their name there because I'm just so happy. See, they're there. The students come from the rural area. They just finished high school. They don't have any income. Their parents don't have any money to send them to school. They will never, ever will go to Bogota to study, ever. So like from scratch, we got them to the university. So they went through the whole application process. So Barbacoas is like, it's the end of the world. Like it's really hard to even get there. Oliver is from Buenaventura, which is one of the, it's close to the biggest city in the area, but he's from the rural area. He's actually a victim of the Colombian conflict. Some of his family members been, disappeared because of the conflict. So he's a victim of the conflict. So now he's Bogota studying. And Dan Esteban is from Tumaco, which is another location in the Pacific Coast. I met his parents. They don't have, they're really low income. They are so happy that he's attending university. So what are they doing? They were able to get into a 5-year bilingual education program. So they studying. I really get so excited. I'm so happy for them because they were expecting that, and then just there, and they are so grateful. So this was made possible thanks to CEADA. I did a little leadership there in collaboration with the Universidad Única, which is the institution that provides the opportunity for the scholarship. ONG Despertar, which is Elsie, she's the director of the ONG, she's on the left side of that picture. And Cascajal Foundation, they are based in Houston. So this is a milestone. These are milestones. So we achieved it just thanks to leadership and networking and contacting and selling the idea. So they are in Bogota now with a full ride. So they have the tuition, they get 75% of the tuition. The parents have to find 25%. That's a problem. We'll help if they need, if it needs to. But then the university also provides. I was able to find house. No, you gotta be kidding me. So I reached out and I spoke to the director and I said, listen, we have 3 kids from the Pacific Coast down here. They don't have a place to stay. They don't have much money. So we need to, they convert what they pay monthly in dollars. They pay only like $30 US a month. And just something that they have to pay because of the services, like the bills. But it's like pretty much free houses. So they have housing, they have university. And also we managed to buy like 3 bicycles. So in case they didn't have money to take the public transport, we raised the money, Cascajal, ONG Despertar, and CEADA, and we donated 3 bicycles for the kids to go to school. So this is a picture I took with them. The director of that center is in the middle, she's Maria Elena, she's an angel. She's so happy with the kids. So the one next to me on the right side, that's Dan, that's one of the students. Jennifer, it is the 3rd one from left to right on top of the standing. And Oliver Jr. is the second from left to right sitting. And yes, they were so happy. They invited me to have lunch with all of them. They showed me the whole facility and everything. So you see their faces. So now they're finishing the 1st semester. And then I wanna highlight the student that isn't sitting from right to left, the second one, the little black girl over there. She's not part of the program. But when I went there, Maria Elena, the director of the center, she shared with me that she have no money. Like she's been like crying sometimes because sometimes she doesn't have any money to go to school. She's brilliant. She's going to the National University of Colombia. And then she said, she asked me if I could help. And I'm doing all my best to find at least 50 US a month so she can have like transport. It's not really a lot of money. Sometimes just little money that can make a huge difference. She was about to go back to her town, which is in Chocó, in the biographical Chocó. I said, no, you're not gonna do that. Even if I have to send money from my own pocket, you're gonna stay here. That was one. And the other one that is on top next to Dan, which is the first from right to left. She's in a little bit in a different situation. She's from another area. She's from the Caribbean coast. She's like an Afro-Indigenous, a young student, young lady, but she also having some issues with, it's mostly economic issues. They want to be there, but sometimes like even having 50 US or 100 US a month is an issue. And I'm like, no, well, that's not gonna be an issue. We're gonna make it happen. So I'm working in securing for those two young students, young ladies, to have at least some monthly allowance for them, so they can have transport to go to school, and maybe a little extra money. So, as you can see, this initiative is a testament to the power of collaboration in addressing the need of underserved students and creating a pathway for academic and social mobility. And I'm very proud of sharing this with you all. So, challenges and opportunities. So yes, we do have challenges. Funding is one of them. Usually, money to raise money for this kind of program is not that easy, even though it's good programs, people liking, oh, that's great. But it's not easy to sometimes to access funding. So right now, CEADA is fully legal in the US. We are 501c3. We are a foundation fully legal, and we got everything is in place. We got our board, we got everything, so we are ready to receive money from donors and to apply for grants and everything. So it's not easy, but we will try, because we have done so much without any funding, without money. So I guess just a little something that we get, I know we can amplify our work. Also, technology gaps is a problem, and institutional biases. Sometimes people don't want to hear about these things, especially in the US, like we have a little bit of resistance to whatever it sounds a free manufacturing, for instance. It's being a little bit of resistance in the US. In countries like Colombia and some of the countries, they don't understand really well the concept of a free manufacturing, even though they have some programs. But what we have seen lately in the US is a little bit of resistance to this kind of initiative. And I think it shouldn't be, because it's actually when the least, well, I will say this, when the disadvantage advance, the whole society advance. How are we doing with time, Lindsay?
You are doing great on time, John. The time is now 6:44, and we normally, we'd like to leave a few minutes at the end for questions.
Okay, so am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
The sound is better now?
Yeah, actually, that's so much better. Thank you.
All right. I hope you're having fun listening to,
Absolutely. This is so inspiring, John.
All right. So opportunities, growing awareness. Please spread the word. CEADA is, we're here. Spread the word. Like, let people know what we're doing. Global support. We need global support, institutional support. Like, if you know people that is interested in the work of CEADA or what we do, or just want to learn a little bit more what we're doing, please spread the word, share the word. And technological innovation. I think we have a lot of opportunities with all these internet-based advancement to reach, amplify, make more visibility. Just shift the needle a little bit. Make the needle move a little bit. So, according to CEADA, what is the future of global education? So we want to expand the programs to the underserved regions, not only in Colombia, like what we say, but there's people also in Costa Rica, Honduras. There's a community in Honduras that I know, the Garifunas, and I know people there too that are really needed. Ecuador, Brazil, even in the US. Strengthening advocacy for educational equity. We're going to continue doing that. That's what we do. That's our passion. And there's always got to be call for collaboration and see how institutions and individuals, how can they contribute. So that's our vision for the near future, for the long run as well. This is a little sample of what we used to do, the programming we used to do, so you can have an idea of the stuff that we were talking there. So this is some of the flyers that it's much more, but I just put this there for you to have an idea of what we're programming, what we're doing. So if you look at the first one from top left, that was a great study in a documentary from Dr. Shockley and Dr. Linares. They did this in a Palenque community in Colombia, which is, I think you don't know about that, but it's amazing. This community, they are Maroons. They went there, they couldn't get them back, so they couldn't get them back, so they kind of were free. So they were there, they were looking into this community. They do have their own educational systems and and social system in places still to this day. I've been there actually. The second one is Dr. Sheila Walker. I love her. She's a gem. She's a treasure. And I love she did this great conference of familiar faces and unexpected places at Global Africa Diaspora. Just don't want to explain all of them, but this is for you to have an idea of some of our programming. This is for the lecture series, okay? Oh, the lady down here on the left, on the right, bottom right, she's a congresswoman from Ecuador, so she was put in the case of the Afro-Ecuadorian population out there too. Just great. Elvia Duque, she did a great presentation on censuses and Afro-descendant population in Latin America. Excellent. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but he's from Senegal. As a brother from Senegal, he lives in Barcelona. Creatives, brilliant. And just a little sample. And this is the last thing we have done. I was in Cali in COP16, which is COP is actually Conference of the Parties, which is the Biological Convention of Biodiversity. So I was participating in these two spaces. So we have these two spaces in the green zone over there. This is two like very critical topics down there. So we put CEADA and the Secretary of Culture of the department, which is it's like the state here. And also ONG experts, we put together a couple of combos, panel experts. And then that's what we do. And this one here, there was another event earlier this year in August. This was a great panel talking about the intersection of culture and environmental conservation. So yes, it gets busy. There's more to say. I don't want to keep you here all night. But then that's it. So if you wanna get in touch, well, that's me. This is the Instagram page. That's the X. That's my email. The website. Take a look into the website. We are based in Houston, and we're here connecting global Africa. If you have any questions, I'm ready. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
John, that was so much and so inspiring to hear all the amazing things that you have done to make the world a better place.
Fine.
I'm so grateful for your time and your willingness to share with us this evening. And I am wondering if we have any questions in the room tonight. Anyone have questions? Let's see, John Brooks.
I was just recently in Mexico, Lindsay, doing an annual retreat. In April, I will be in New York in the 4th session of the Permanent Forum of People of African Descent of the United Nations. So,
wow,
in that space, if you come through,
that's amazing, John.
I've been helping out with the strategy sessions because I'm with the International Civil Society Working Group. I'm part of it, so we do strategy sessions to inform the mechanism of the Permanent Forum.
That's fantastic. I don't see any questions in the chat, but if anyone has a question they'd like to ask to John directly, please feel free to come off mute and just ask. John is very approachable and obviously knowledgeable. I know he would welcome your question.
Hi, John. Hello, John, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I was wondering ways which you promote cultural exchange through your program.
We do have the lecture series. So we usually invite, scholars, sometimes researchers, grassroots organizers, political leaders, different speakers. And then we usually have like a topic, and then they talk on these different topics, and then we have the whole audience, the whole community of whole learning community, I will say. But it's open, which is it's a safe space. It's open to everyone. It's ongoing. You can just enter there. You can listen to what they have to say. You can ask questions. You can participate. You can provide comments. That's one of the ways we promote the cultural exchange. And it has proven to be effective because we get people connected, like I said earlier, like from so many places. We have people connecting from Colombia, from Ecuador, from Argentina, from Spain. The farthest place that I have somebody connected was from Saudi Arabia, but he was a university professor. He was from Africa. I don't remember the country, but he was working at a Saudi Arabian university. But he connected. I was like, how did you learn about us? And then he said, like, well, spread sometimes. Sometimes I got people like I didn't even know, like, oh my God, and then just getting all these messages. And it was like it was growing and growing and growing. So having an audience of learners from so many places, that in itself is just the greatest cultural exchange opportunity. For me, it was a learning experience. I have all the documentation. I even have the videos from the previous conferences if you're interested. We have a YouTube channel too. Let me see if I can drop it in the chat so you can take a look into some of the sessions. They got really excited. Sometimes they were so good that was 1 hour and people stay for 1.5 hours, 2 hours, just discussing on a Sunday morning, Central Time.
Wow.
Central Time.
Wow. Well, I can see why. It's important work. Thank you, Glory, for that question. Did anyone else have a question for John this evening?
See if I can find the oh, thank you so much. I see the comments. I didn't see the comment. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really encouraging. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Glory. Let me see if I can
While
find it.
John is looking for the link to the YouTube channel, I just would like to remind everyone, if you or someone you know are interested in programs at Sarasota University, you can reach us at info@sarasotauniversity.edu. And I know Ellen or myself will be happy to follow up with you. Again, we do have dual enrollment options with Center for Guided Montessori Studies, and our newest partnership is with Brush Development, looking at the application of Montessori with elders who may be impacted by dementia. Oh, thank you, John. I seen in the chat, John has dropped the link to his YouTube channel. So for more information and to see some of those previous lectures and presentations, be sure to go to that YouTube channel. And John, if someone is interested in connecting with you and partnering or making a donation or learning more, how will they reach you?
Yeah, I'm sharing. Wait, I'm trying to share. 1 sec.
Oh, there's your YouTube.
Yes, there is. So listen, wait, I'm trying to go back to the presentation because I want to share the.
And Glory is asking if you are on LinkedIn, John.
Yes, I am. I am on LinkedIn. John Tovar. Let me see if I can find it. Yes, I am. So this is how you can you see the?
Yes, yes, we can see it. YouTube.
There
Yep.
it is. Can you see this?
Yes.
What are you saying?
I'm seeing CEADA and
Yes.
the globe.
That's how they can reach me.
Okay, perfect.
That's my card, my business card.
Lisa also put his LinkedIn profile,
Yes,
the
I
link
will.
to it.
I will. I just want you to.
No, I'm telling one of the participants did. They already looked at it.
Okay.
Yeah, Lisa shared your link, the link to your LinkedIn profile in the chat. Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
So I agree with Monica. This was excellent, and best wishes on your journey. Thank you again, John, for your gift of your time and your efforts, and for sharing all of your expertise and wisdom and inspiration with us this evening. Thank you so much, and we just want to wish you the very best, John.
Thank you so much. And then, okay, this is
And
the
keep
web.
us posted, please. We'd love to
That's
hear
the
more
web.
about your work.
That's the website if you wanna. That's the website. Here you can
Oh, there
find
it is.
more information.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes, there you can find more information about the programmatic areas, the areas of work, where we add a little bit of news, like I've tried to update the news, like in the,
Oh, that is great.
so
Fantastic.
here's about us. And then, wait, yes, about us here. We got all the information and also our programs here. And then contact and a little blog. So I have to update it because I've been on the road, so I have a lot of news to share. So yeah, this is the
Oh,
program.
this is great.
And contact here. So I will drop it in the chat as well. So yeah. That's it.
Wonderful. Well,
Thank you so
again,
much.
thank you. Thank you everyone for being
Thank
here
you.
this evening and for spending time with us at Sarasota University. We wish you the very best and we'll look forward to seeing you in December. We will have Regina Dyson joining us. Regina is the chairperson for Montessori for Social Justice. And we look forward to hearing from her in December. So y'all come back in December and we'll see you then. Until then, have a wonderful rest of your evening and we'll look forward to seeing you in December. If there's anything that we can do to support your academic, educational, Montessori journey, please reach out to info@sarasota.edu. Good night, everyone.